Hello, hi everyone. Hello. Hello everybody. Hi everyone. Welcome to a new live stream. How's it going? I hope you're doing great. Welcome. Bienvenidos, bienvenidas. Hoy vamos a hablar acerca del verbo ofrecer. Today we are going to talk about the verb ofrecer and 5 different meanings of this Spanish verb. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time I live stream. I want to give a big shout out to our Cafecito members, Christopher and Michael, also Ruby Brockenberry, Brianna L, Gregory Ramirez, Michael Lee, Nick Ross, David Beaver, Regulation D, Juanco Juan, Roy W, David, and Great at Work. Thank you guys for the support. I really appreciate it. If you want to support this channel, you can also get a membership on this channel. You just need to click on the join button down below to know more about the perks. And essentially, you're just buying me a cafecito, a cup of coffee. And yeah, thank you so much, Cafecito members. So yeah, we're going to talk about the verb ofrecer. Ofrecer. Do you know the meaning of this verb? Remember that I'm live streaming, so you can use the live chat if you want to ask questions about what we're learning, if you want to practice your Spanish, and also if you want to say hola or hello. Just feel free to use the live chat for that. The only thing you gotta do is you have to be a subscriber. So you can click on the subscribe button down below. That's for free. And in order to use this live chat. Okay, let's do this. Are you ready? 5 meanings of ofrecer. We're going to talk about the basics. We're going to look at some examples. We will talk about them. And we'll learn how to use the verb ofrecer. And also, we will have more advanced phrases using ofrecer. Okay, so essentially 5 meanings of this verb. Excellent. So, the first meaning of the verb ofrecer. Let's learn the basics. That's what we're gonna do first. We're gonna learn the basics. Okay, let's see what we have here. Ofrecer, just the verb by itself, means to offer. So it's quite similar. I mean, I would say they almost have the same spelling, but not really. But, they share some similar sounds. Ofrecer, offer. Okay, so essentially this is the main meaning of the verb ofrecer. Ofrecer, to offer. This verb can be used with reflexive pronouns, by the way. If you want to know more about reflexive pronouns, that was like one of the most recent lessons that I have on my channel. So I explain a lot about, reflexive pronouns and how to use them. So check that out if you want to know more about it. But yeah, this verb works with reflexive pronouns. So let's look at the first example using ofrecer. Ofrecer. ¿Qué te ofrecen? ¿Qué te ofrecen? So this is a question. It's not that complicated. And we're using the verb ofrecer. This means, what do they offer you? Or what are they offering you? Similar to that, the more literal translation is, what do they offer you? Okay? So let's break this down and let's see how ofrecer works in this sentence. So first we have que. Que means what. You can use it by itself if you just want to say what. Que. Okay. But also it's part of, different questions. So que means what. Remember the accent mark on top of the letter E when que is in a question. That's very important. Sometimes it doesn't need it when it's not in a question, and the pronunciation is the same. So don't worry about any difference. Que is que, with or without an accent mark. Que. Okay, so what, and then we have a reflexive pronoun, te. Te is similar to saying, they in the situation. Sometimes, actually it's you. Sorry about that. Te sometimes means yourself or you. Okay? So in this situation, te means you. And then we have ofrecen. Okay, ofrecen. And this is the verb that we're learning right now. And something important to note here is that when que is in a question, usually, it can mean what, just what, or it can mean what do. Okay, what do, ... if you add more to que. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And then we have, as I said before, ofrecen. This is the verb conjugated for the personal pronoun ellos or ellas. Okay, but we don't need that in the question. We don't need the personal pronoun here, ellos, ellas, which mean ellos and ellas mean they. Okay, but we don't have it here. We don't need it. Okay, we need the conjugated verb. And then ofrecen in this situation means they offer, even though the personal pronoun is not there. Okay, you always need to pay attention to the conjugation of the verb. Okay, because personal pronouns are not there all the time. So we need to pay attention to the verb. ¿Qué te ofrecen? Remember the intonation when you're saying a question or when you're asking in Spanish. ¿Qué te ofrecen? What do they offer you? It's very similar to the English one. When you ask, you have, some certain intonation. What do they offer you? It's the same in Spanish. ¿Qué te ofrecen? Okay. ¿Qué te ofrecen? So that's something important to notice. Excellent. So, ¿qué te ofrecen? Means what do they offer you? Or similar to saying what are they offering you? Okay. So this is a very interesting question. Now, let's look at the next example using ofrecer. Yo estoy ofreciendo una buena oportunidad. Yo estoy ofreciendo una buena oportunidad. This means I am offering a good opportunity. Okay? So another easy sentence over here. And let's break it down. Let's see where ofrecer is and how it works in this sentence. So we have yo. Yo. Yo means I. We don't need it, but sometimes we say it in Spanish. Okay, sometimes we say it specifically if you want to be specific. If, for example, when talking about he and she, usually the conjugation of the verb or the verb conjugation is the same for he and she in Spanish, él and ella. So if you want to be precise, specific, then you can say the personal pronouns. But in this situation, I mean, I had the option to have it or not. So right now I have it. Let's go with that. Yo estoy. Without it, I can just say estoy ofreciendo una buena oportunidad. And that's fine. That's correct. So yo estoy means I am. Okay. Ofreciendo, this is the verb that we're learning right now, ofrecer, and it's in the gerund form. So the ending NDO, ofreciendo, caminando, escuchando, trabajando. That's the gerund in Spanish. And ofreciendo means offering. In English, offering, that's also the gerund, the English gerund. So that is good. This is almost a literal translation. Yo estoy ofreciendo, I am offering una means a. Una is feminine. This is an indefinite article. You have also un. Okay, un means a as well. But when you have a feminine noun like this one, oportunidad, la oportunidad, that's feminine, then you have to use indefinite, feminine indefinite articles. So that's because la oportunidad is feminine. So you need that. Same with definite articles like el, la, los, las. You have to use either feminine or masculine, but you gotta pay attention to the noun that you're using. Okay, so pay attention to the noun. That noun is feminine. That's why we're saying una. Una, and also singular, by the way. So una means a. Buena means good. Buena means good. It's also feminine. Buena is feminine. Why? Because of the noun. Oportunidad is feminine. So, una buena oportunidad. Oportunidad means opportunity. Okay? They're almost similar. Almost as similar. You know, they have a similar spelling. Almost. But it's quite different. Oportunidad, una buena oportunidad. You can also say una oportunidad buena, because in Spanish we usually have any adjectives like buena after the noun. So right here. But sometimes you can use certain adjectives before the nouns. Okay, so you just have to pay attention to that. Just listen to, to different Spanish speakers speak, and you will see those little differences. Okay, so una buena oportunidad or una oportunidad buena, both work. Excellent. So yo estoy ofreciendo una buena oportunidad. I am offering a good opportunity. So if you want to say to offer in Spanish, you can use the verb, oops, my arrow is terrible. You can use ofrecer, okay? Ofrecer. That's the most basic meaning of the verb ofrecer, to offer. Excellent. So that was the first meaning. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Don't be shy. Is everything clear? Seems like it. Okay. Let's go. Let's learn the next meaning of the verb ofrecer. Significado, that means meaning. Significado número 2, meaning number 2. Ofrecerse a. Ofrecerse a. Okay, so this is another interesting use of the verb ofrecer. We gotta remember two things, or we need to pay attention to two things here. The first one is se. That means you can use reflexive pronouns. And then we have a. Okay, ofrecerse a. It's similar to a phrasal verb. You have the verb plus another word that usually works with prepositions. So sometimes, you will use prepositions. Sometimes you will use something else. But usually this is considered, it is considered a phrasal verb. Just like the English phrasal verbs get up, get out, look up, look down. Those are phrasal verbs, but this is something similar. So what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? The meaning of ofrecerse a is to offer to do something. Okay, when you're offering to do something, if you want to say that in Spanish, you can use ofrecerse a. So a is similar to saying to. Okay, right here. To. Ofrecerse, to offer. And there's just an indication of using reflexive pronouns here. Okay, so let's look at some examples using this term. Me ofrecí a ayudar con la mudanza. Me ofrecí a ayudar con la mudanza. This means I offered to help with the move. Okay, someone is moving, so you're helping them to move into the new place, out from the old place and in to the new place. So you can use this term for those situations when you offer to help. That's very, very interesting. Let's break this down. Let's see how this sentence works. Me is a reflexive pronoun that means myself and also I in certain situations. You can say yo me ofrecí, and that means it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that you're using a personal pronoun and a reflexive pronoun, which pretty much mean in this situation I. Okay, you don't need yo, but you need the reflexive pronoun me. Me in this situation means I. Ofrecí, this is present tense, past tense. It happened already. And this is the verb ofrecer. Ofrecer, okay? So once again, se right here, me right here. That's the reflexive pronoun. We just didn't use se because we don't need it here. We need to say something else, but you need a reflexive pronoun. Ofrecí is the verb conjugated for the personal pronoun yo, and also past tense, so happened. Me ofrecí means I offered, okay? Now, we need to add a if you want to say to. Me ofrecí a, I offered to do something. And what is that? Ayudar. This is a verb, and it means to help. So in this situation, help. If you notice here, the verb is in the infinitive form, which means don't conjugate it. So you can actually change this verb to something else if you need to. For example, me ofrecí a hacer. I offered to do or to make. Me ofrecí a cantar. I offered to sing. I mean, you get the idea. You can just replace this verb with something else, but it has to be in the infinitive form, so don't conjugate it. So yeah, ayudar, to help. Con means with. La means the. And then we have mudanza. Mudanza means when you move, the action of moving out and taking all your things into a new place. So that action is called mudanza, and that's a noun, by the way, feminine noun. So we need to pay attention to that. So mudanza, remember the Z sound in Spanish is similar to the S sound in English, mudanza, and it can mean move or relocation in certain situations, but it typically refers to the process of moving from one place to another. So keep that in mind. We can be talking about, I don't know, homes, if you're moving into a different home or office or something like that. So it's you can use the term mudanza, and also there's a verb mudar. Let me just put it here. Mudar also refers to moving. You're moving, but you can use the noun mudanza if you want to say something similar to move or to relocation. Okay, excellent. Now let's look at the next example using ofrecerse a. Ella se ofreció a llevarnos al aeropuerto. Ella se ofreció a llevarnos al aeropuerto. This means she offered to take us to the airport. Well, that person is a really good friend. For sure. So, let's break this down. Let's see what this sentence means and where the verb ofrecer is. Okay. Ella means she. Se, we have the reflexive pronoun that you can use in front of verbs. So we have it here. Reflexive pronoun. Ofreció, this is the verb ofrecer conjugated again in the preterite tense, so past tense, and we have it there. It works perfectly. It works perfectly there. By the way, look at that. We have the personal pronoun and the reflexive pronoun. Okay, so you can have both, as I said before, but we really don't need it. I could just say, se ofreció a llevarnos al aeropuerto. But if you want to be specific, then you can say ella. Ella se ofreció. You need both. You cannot say ella ofreció. You could, but it sounds incomplete. You need the reflexive pronoun. Ella se ofreció. And then we have a. Remember, we need a, and that means she offered to, okay? She offered to do something. And what is that? Llevarnos. This is different in this one because right here we have it in the infinitive form. And this one is quite interesting because we have the verb llevar, okay? We have llevar, but we also have Another reflexive pronoun over there, llevarnos. Llevarnos. Nos is a reflexive pronoun. Remember, reflexive pronouns can go before verbs as a separate word, or it can be attached to verbs. Okay? So, and you have to really attach the reflexive pronoun after the verb because they become one word. Llevarnos. Llevarnos. So, you can do that as well. I could say, ella se ofreció a llevar a mis padres al aeropuerto. Okay, so there's different ways to say that, and I'm just saying she offered to take my parents to the airport. But llevarnos in this situation means take us. Nos means us. Okay, so interesting. Llevar means to take someone somewhere. You know, you can take the person to their office, airport, and so on. So, al means to the. You should not say a él because al is actually two words that became one. Okay, and a él means to thee, but in Spanish we do not have a él, we have al, and that means to thee. Now, the next one, aeropuerto. Aeropuerto means airport. El aeropuerto, the airport. We don't need el if we have a before el, okay? So pay attention to that. You really need to pay attention to that. Excellent. Remember, ofrecerse a means to offer, to do something. Do you guys have any questions? I see Che. Hola, hola. How's it going, Che? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo va todo? Welcome, welcome. Bienvenida or bienvenido. Any questions? Any questions? Do you have any questions, guys? Remember that you can ask questions. If I don't look at them right away, don't you worry because I'm going to get to them. I usually explain the whole term and then I look at the live chat and I see if there's like any questions or anything else. So, yeah. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Hola. Hola. Bienvenido. Bienvenidos, chicos. ¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo están? Thank you for being here. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Okay, so let's move on. Let's continue with the verb ofrecer. Let's continue talking about this verb ofrecer. The third meaning, significado número 3. Let's see what we have. Ofrecer una disculpa. Ofrecer una disculpa. This is a great term because sometimes you might have to use it if you want to do something specific, okay? Something that it's good to do if you have to do it, okay? So the term ofrecer una disculpa means to offer an apology. Okay, so pretty much you're just saying, you just want to say, hey, I'm sorry, I just want to say sorry. Okay, so it happens sometimes. You gotta do that. You have to offer an apology. So ofrecer here's the meaning, the verb ofrecer. We also have una, that is an indefinite article, feminine. Why? Because disculpa is feminine and it's also a noun. So you have to pay attention to that. So disculpa means apology, ofrecer, to offer, una means and in this situation. Okay, ofrecer una disculpa. Now let's look at some examples using this term. The first one is, ofrezco una disculpa por lo sucedido. Ofrezco una disculpa por lo sucedido. This means, that doesn't, that's not the meaning. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened there. I offer an apology for what happened. That's much better. I offer an apology for what happened. Okay, so that is the meaning of this sentence. Let's break it down. Ofrezco means I offer. You could say yo ofrezco, which is, you're including the personal pronoun yo, which means I, but we don't need it. We need the conjugated verb. Ofrezco means I offer. Una means an. Disculpa means apology. Okay. For. Lo has many meanings. It can mean eat and also what. Okay, so in this situation it means what. Sucedido, happened. This comes from the verb suceder. Okay, suceder. And sucedido, sucedido is the past participle of the Spanish verb suceder, sucedido. And suceder, the verb suceder, let me just put it right here, suceder, that is the verb. Okay, and the past participle is sucedido. And suceder means to happen or to occur. So sucedido means happened in this situation. And lo can mean a few things. Lo is versatile. It has several uses, so it can be a pronoun, it can be used in different expressions, and also a neutral article. Okay, for example, lo importante means the important thing, but lo can refer to something, not specific, something similar to eat, even if it's not a literal translation, but it's similar to eat, or it can be a pronoun as well. So it's tricky. Lo is tricky, but sometimes it also means what. Lo que me gusta, what I like. It works well with que. Lo que can also mean what. Lo que quiero, what I want. Lo que vi, what I saw. Okay, so lo, very, very tricky. It's a very tricky word, but in this situation means what? Something. It's something. Something happened. We're not specifying here what happened, but we're referring to it. Okay, so sucedido, happened. Ofrezco una disculpa por lo sucedido. I offer an apology for what happened. Okay. Also, something important to note is por lo. Por lo, you can even, I'm not saying porno. we're saying por lo. Por lo. Okay, and that works really well. It's a little phrase. I'm just gonna underline it here. Por lo, and that is similar to saying for what. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So the next example, as we saw before, ofrezco una disculpa is the phrase we're learning, or the other meaning of ofrecer. And yeah, you're pretty much offering an apology. Now let's look at the next example using this phrase, this interesting phrase. Okay. Ofrecieron una disculpa por la cancelación del evento. Ofrecieron una disculpa por la cancelación del evento. So this means they offered an apology for the cancellation of the event. So that's it happens. So essentially, ofrecer una disculpa is just a more advanced way and polite way to say I'm sorry. Okay, so in Spanish, if you want to sound more apologetic, if you want to sound more formal, if you want to sound more advanced or fluent, then you can use this phrase for sure. So let's break this down. Let's see how this sentence works. Ofrecieron una disculpa. So that is the phrase we're learning right at the beginning. Ofrecieron una disculpa. Ofrecieron is the verb ofrecer conjugated, and also, well, you don't change the rest. Okay, una disculpa, that's fine. You can leave it the way it is. Una disculpa. Essentially, you're saying ellos ofrecieron una disculpa. We don't need ellos. You can drop it. You can just say ofrecieron, and that means they offered. Okay? And then the rest, una disculpa, an apology. Por. So por is very helpful here. We have it as well, here as well. And it works really well with ofrecer una disculpa because you're adding more. So they offered an apology, but why did they offer the apology? Why are they saying I'm sorry? You can use por to add more to that. Okay, so you're about to say why they're offering the apology or an apology. Por means for, and then we have la, the, as opposed to here, we're being very specific. Here, we're not saying what happened. Something happened, we don't know what it is. But here, we're precisely saying why they are apologizing. So, la means the, and then cancelación. This is a noun, feminine. I know it looks masculine, but it's feminine. That's why we're saying la cancelación. That means cancellation. Okay. Del, de, el. This is two words that became one. Why? Because we don't have in Spanish, we don't have de el. If you see that, if you're about to say de el, just say del, okay? Del, because if you say de el, that's incorrect, okay? That's incorrect. Del means of the, okay? Evento. Evento, another noun, masculine, and it means event. Well, very similar. They just add an O. Evento. Remember, the V sound in Spanish is similar to the B, as in bell, sound in English. Okay? Evento. Evento. Okay? Excellent. Excellent. Remember, ofrecer una disculpa means to offer an apology. Do you guys have any questions? Steven, bien, gracias. Qué bueno, me da mucho gusto. Excellent, excellent. Questions? Any questions? You can practice also using what we're learning, huh? You can practice. Excellent. Let's move on. The next meaning of the verb ofrecer, meaning number 4, significado número 4, ofrecerse como. We previously were talking about ofrecerse a, okay? So now we have ofrecerse como. So this is another phrasal verb, so you have a phrase that has a verb, a phrasal verb, and this is another common use of the verb ofrecer. Remember, we have the verb ofrecer right here. Se is an indication that you can use reflexive pronouns with it, and como means a few things. A few things. Como can means how. It can be in questions. If you add an accent mark on top of the letter O, that could be a question, of course, saying how. And if you add an accent mark here, como. Actually, not that one. I don't think comí. No, that's different. That's a different thing. Never mind. Ofrecerse como. Ofrecerse como. Como means how. Sometimes it means like. Como esto. Like this. Okay? So, como has quite a few meanings. But ofrecerse as a phrase means... Oops, sorry. Not that. Ofrecerse como means to volunteer as. When you volunteer as, I don't know, if you want to volunteer as anybody who wants to help, you can use this phrase for those situations. So let's look at some examples using ofrecerse como. Okay. By the way, como can also mean as. Como. As. Como yo. Well, that's more similar like me. Como yo, like me. But como can also mean as. Okay, let's look at some examples using ofrecerse como. Él se ofreció como voluntario. Él se ofreció como voluntario para el evento. ¿Ok? Él se ofreció como voluntario para el evento. He volunteered as a helper or someone who can help, okay, for the event. So helper, like you're just volunteering to help. Pretty much. That's what we're saying here. So, voluntario, by the way, means volunteer. voluntario. Volunteer. It can mean volunteer or just a person who offers to do something willingly without being forced or paid. Okay? I know it's redundant to say él se ofreció como voluntario because we're saying volunteer right here. But it can be. You can say this in Spanish and it makes total sense. So, él means he, with an accent mark on top of the letter E. Without the accent mark means the. El auto, the car. El lápiz, the pencil. Okay, so keep that in mind. You need the accent mark on top of the letter E if you want to say el. By the way, with or without the accent mark, same sound. El. That's a good thing to remember for sure. Se, we have the reflexive pronoun. Remember, you can use personal pronouns and reflexive pronouns in the same sentence. You can drop the personal pronoun, so you can drop this one. You don't need to say it, but you need to use the reflexive pronoun. You need to, okay? So, él se ofreció como. Okay, so se ofreció como. He volunteered as. Voluntario. We have voluntario in English. It's common to have as a ... In Spanish, we really don't need to say como un voluntario. We don't really need that. You can just say the noun como voluntario as a helper. Okay? Para, for, el, the, evento. Evento, event. Okay? So if you want to volunteer to help, this is a great phrase for those situations. Now, let's look at another example using this phrase. Do we have another phrase here? Do we have another sentence? Sorry. Oh, my bad. I did something here. There you go. It works. Me ofrecí como tutor. Okay. Me ofrecí como tutor para los nuevos estudiantes. Me ofrecí como tutor para los nuevos estudiantes. You can also say los estudiantes nuevos, okay? And this means I volunteered as a tutor for the new students, okay? So you're just gonna help them to, whatever you need to help them with. Maybe they need some private lessons, classes. I don't know really, but essentially you're saying that you're volunteering as a tutor to help the new students. Okay, so let's break this down. Let's see how this works. Me, we have the reflexive pronoun. Remember, reflexive pronouns are necessary here. Me ofrecí, verb ofrecer in past tense, present tense. Como, okay, we need como, and that means I volunteered as, just as. Me ofrecí como, I volunteered as. Now, you can say yo me ofrecí como, and that means also I volunteered as ... You don't need yo, you don't need the personal pronoun. Once again, you need the reflexive pronoun in this phrase, okay? if you want to use this phrase. Tutor. We don't need a in English. It's a common thing to do, you know. You have a ... You just place the noun, okay? Just like we did here. There is no un. There is an un here. We don't have it. We don't have it. So you don't need it. Tutor means tutor. Same spelling, different pronunciation. Tutor. 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 Para, for, los, the, nuevos estudiantes. Nuevos means new. Estudiantes means students. Los is a definite article, plural and masculine. Why? Because the noun estudiantes is plural and masculine. Los estudiantes. Same thing with the adjective nuevos. Nuevos is masculine and plural because of students. Estudiantes. Nuevos. You can, this is flexible right here. Some adjectives, some Spanish adjectives can be used before the nouns because that's a common thing to do in English. New house, new students, new, car. In Spanish, it's usually the other way around. Estudiantes, nuevos, carro, nuevo. Okay? So sometimes there's some flexibility. In this situation, you can say nuevos estudiantes. Or you can say, if you don't want to complicate yourself, you can just say estudiantes nuevos. They both work. So I just wanted to let you know that. Excellent. Excelente. Excelente. ¿Alguna pregunta? Any questions? We have only one more meaning, solamente un significado. Nos queda un significado. And that's going to be it, you guys. That's going to be it. So, let's see what we have. Significado número 5. Meaning number 5. Ofrecer a cambio. This is another common phrase. Ofrecer a cambio. Ofrecer a cambio. What are we talking about? Cambio means change. Change as in, something changing or changed. It can also mean change as in money. Do you have any change? Cambio. ¿Tienes cambio? Okay. But cambio means change. Ofrecer usually means to offer. That's the main meaning of this verb. A means to offer, to change. This is not a literal translation. It's not a literal translation. This phrase has a specific meaning, and the meaning is to offer in exchange. So you are offering something in exchange. So it could be anything. I don't know. I'll give you my pear if you give me your apple. Right? So you're offering something in exchange. So that is what this phrase is about. Ofrecer a cambio. Ofrecer a cambio. Now, let's look at some examples using this phrase. Ofrecieron dinero a cambio de información. Ofrecieron dinero a cambio de información. Now, what does this mean? This means they offered money in exchange for information. So you are paying for information. That's what's happening over here, right here. Now let's break this down and let's see where's the phrase. Let's learn how the phrase works in this sentence. Ofrecieron. By the way, it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious, but you need to know the conjugation of the verb ofrecer if you want to use this phrase. Now, ofrecer is a regular verb. So it follows the typical conjugation patterns for verbs, okay? In Spanish, of course. So it is regular, although it is mostly regular. The first person singular yo, which means I, that form is slightly irregular. Okay, so ofrezco instead of ofreco, which would be if you follow the grammatical rules. So just keep that in mind. It's pretty much regular. There's only one irregularity. So yo ofrezco. And that means I offer. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Ofrecieron, you're technically saying ellos ofrecieron, or ellas ofrecieron, or ustedes ofrecieron. Okay, when saying ofrecieron, it means they offered, or you plural offered. Okay, if you want to be specific, of course, add the personal pronoun ellos, ellas, or ustedes. But if you don't want to be specific, you don't have to have it there. So ofrecieron means they offered in the situation. Dinero, money. A cambio. So essentially we have the verb ofrecer first, right here, and then we have a noun in the middle, and then a cambio, the rest of the phrase. Okay, ofrecieron a cambio and de is commonly used in this situation. Ofrecieron dinero a cambio de. Okay, so you can include that if you want to remember that. Ofrecer a cambio de. But you gotta put a few things in between. One is a noun, right? Well, I would say just a noun, and then the rest of the sentence, de, a cambio de. So that stays together, a cambio de, and that means in exchange. De means other things. It means of and from. You know, that's the basic meaning of de. But in this situation is similar to for. Okay. Información. Información means information. Ofrecieron dinero a cambio de información. They offered money in exchange for information. Okay? Interesting. Now, let's look at the last example, guys, and that is it. That's it for today. The last example is me ofreció su libro a cambio del mío. So this is we're not talking about money, we're not talking about information, we're talking about something more simple, which is libro. You know the meaning of that word, right? El libro, what does that mean? Me ofreció su libro a cambio del mío. This means she offered me her book in exchange for mine. It makes sense. It makes sense. So maybe you finished reading a book and now you're like, hey, can I borrow your book? I can give you mine, maybe for a few days, maybe forever. Who knows? Who knows? But essentially, we're talking about offering something in exchange. So let's break this down. By the way, you can use reflexive pronouns with this phrase, and that's what we're doing right here, even though it doesn't have se, because ofrecerse can mean to offer oneself. Okay, but you're not offering yourself. You're offering something, right? But I'm just letting you know that you can use reflexive pronouns, okay, with this phrase. And let me tell you, there's a lot of Spanish verbs that are reflexive verbs. A lot of them. It's too many. So get used to the idea of using reflexive pronouns all the time in Spanish, because it's very likely that you will have to. Okay? So me means me in this situation. It can also mean myself and I. Interesting. But in this situation means me. Ofreció. This is the verb ofrecer in present tense, which is past tense. It happened already. So when you say me ofreció, that means she offered me. You can say ella me ofreció. She offered me. But you don't have to use personal pronouns all the time. You can say it for sure if you need to. Me ofreció, she offered me. Su means her. Libro, book. A cambio de. And that means in exchange for. Okay? We are saying del because remember, in this situation, technically we have two words, de él. But if you see del, that means that de él. That means de él, but remember in Spanish we don't have de él. That's incorrect. You need to have del. Okay? When you have de and él, they need to become one word. Del. And that we don't have it here in English. De él, we have four, right? Which in this situation, de. The él, we don't have él here, but essentially you are saying, when you say el mío, that means mine. It's a very common way to say mine. It depends on the situation. But when you already said, you talked about a book and you're exchanging another book, you don't have to say book all the time or twice. You can say del mío, and that's similar to saying mine. Or mío means mine. Es mío, it's mine. Okay? So that is a very interesting term for sure. Mío. or el mío in some situations. But right now we know that the phrase we're learning is right here, ofrecer a cambio, okay? And that means to offer in exchange. It happens sometimes you just want to get something, but you have something else that you can give to the person in exchange. So you can for sure use this phrase, ofrecer a cambio. Ofrecer a cambio. Now, if you don't know much about reflexive pronouns, I really I really want to let you know that I already said this, but I have a recent lesson about them. I talk about not only reflexive pronouns, but also reflexive verbs and some easy rules to follow if you need to use reflexive pronouns. So please feel free to just browse my channel. I believe it's one of the, let me just check. I think that was the last lesson. The previous lesson, rather. Let me see. Reflexive pronouns. Oh no, I had a previous video called how to say to face something in Spanish. But the lesson before that, that's about reflexive pronouns. I really suggest you watching that lesson if you don't know how to use reflexive pronouns. But anyways, I also talk about the conjugation of the verb. For example, here you have the reflexive pronoun and you don't have the personal pronoun. But this verb is conjugated for the personal pronoun ella. Ella ofreció. Okay, so you need to keep an eye on that as well, because it can be a bit confusing when using reflexive pronouns and you want to use a verb right after the reflexive pronoun. You need to know how to conjugate the verb. Okay, excellent. Excelente. Do you guys have any questions? Lindsay, me ofrecería a pagar cualquier cantidad de dinero para llegar a ser fluido en español inmediatamente. Well, you're pretty much there, my friend. You're pretty much there. Your Spanish is really good. Really good. I would say you have an advanced Spanish right there, because that sentence is not simple Spanish. Great example. Thank you, Lindsay, and welcome. Steve, muchas gracias por esta clase. Fue excelente. Thank you for watching this lesson. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here and for paying attention to this lesson. I really appreciate you. Muchas gracias por todo y espero verlos. Los veo la próxima semana. I'll see you next week. Remember, if you like this lesson, please give it a like. Por favor, si te gustó esta lección, por favor, dale el dedito arriba. and remember that I have a Spanish community on Discord, so if you want to be part of it, it's for free. You can find the link to that in the stream description down below. But read the rules. You gotta read the rules before joining that community. Remember that also, if you want to support this channel even more, you can check out the Cafecito membership. No pressure, of course. If you can, if you can't, that's fine. But if you want to know more about it, just click on the join button down below, abajo. Okay, and remember to click on the bell icon and turn all the notifications on so YouTube lets you know every time I release anything on my channel, live streams, videos, shorts. So yeah, you can do that as well. Muchas gracias. Nos vemos a la próxima. I'll see you next time. Take care. Adiós. Hasta la vista. Bye.